Well, let's speak now to Jack Carson about farmers, shall we? Because they've staged a surprise blockade of 3 major supermarket distribution centres near Peterborough for the last 2 hours. They're demanding higher farm gate prices and they're accusing retailers of squeezing producers while prices rise for consumers. Well, loaded lorries are currently prevented from entering or leaving the sites, while empty vehicles and supermarket staff arriving for work are allowed through.
Now, our national reporter Jack Carson, we go to him and he will tell you more.
This is gone.
Thank you very much. Well, we've been here since 4 a.m. This morning when these farmers arrived. You've been exclusively allowed to be at this protest. You can probably see some of the tractors behind us here, which are completely blocking this distribution centre, supermarket distribution centre in Peterborough. What you can't see off camera is the lorries that are now starting to queue up, unable to get into this. Ed Pritchard, the farmer who's helped organise this morning, joins us now. Ed, just tell us why you've wanted to do this protest, because this is a bit of a step from other protests. This is more direct action you're taking this morning.
Well, it's becoming quite desperate now. The industry is in absolute turmoil and we can't carry on for much longer as we are. We really do need to see a complete U-turn in the IHT. We need to see better farm gate prices being paid to us by the supermarkets and such like, and we need to see a tariff applied to imported produce into this country.
Just give us a sense of the price aspect. What are you having to deal with when you mention prices and the prices that you're getting for what you produce? Can you give us an example of where you are with that?
Well, I came home to farm in 2008 with my parents, and wheat then was £170 a tonne. Fertiliser was sub couple of £100 a tonne. A 200 horsepower tractor was 50 grand. We are now in 2026. Wheat is still £170 a tonne. Fertiliser is well in excess of £400 a tonne, and a 200 horsepower tractor is 150,000. We just can't carry on like this. The government are just going to put us out of business.
Now, it was the Oxford Farming Conference last week. Emma Reynolds was there speaking to farmers. One of the things she said was that the government have listened, that they understand the concerns of farmers. They want to help you grow and build that resilience. Do you think the government are starting to understand what you're dealing with day to day?
No. They don't fully understand what they're doing. They don't understand how the countryside works. They don't understand how our industry works. They have no idea. They need to come out and see us on farm and get a full understanding of how our industry works. They don't have any idea.
And just build us a picture of what's happening today, because we're at one distribution centre here in Peterborough, but these are happening in different parts of the country as well. Yeah,
so there are lads in Hinckley, and there's a sales here in Peterborough, and then we have another group of lads up in Peterborough. They're all Tesco's fresh distribution points. So the idea is we fit as many as we can to try and drive our message home.
All right, Ed, thank you so much for joining us this morning here at the protest where these farmers are blocking lorries from entering the distribution centre.
Well, Jack, Ed is absolutely right. When he says they haven't got a clue, they couldn't possibly have a clue when they think of the money, the investment, the technology needed to operate and to do what they're supposed to do. It's just incredible, the ignorance involved.
Certainly, obviously at the Oxford Farming Conference last week, Emma Reynolds tried to put to farmers that they're trying to build a better financial picture for them, particularly focusing, of course, the new launch of the new Sustainable Farming Incentive payments, which last year they were suddenly closed with no real prior warning for farmers, and that meant a lot of them lost out on a lot of money that they do use to try and invest and build into their business. Of course, you heard Ed talking there about how the cost that they get for wheat is the same as it was over 10 years ago, but the price of fertiliser going up tenfold, the prices amongst inflation across all other items across the sector going up as well. So you can understand clearly why they need some better financial security from the government, that the payments they get from them. They also, of course, want that conversation with the likes of supermarkets about exactly how much they get paid for the food that they produce.
Them tax allowances for the equipment that they buy and invest in. But we take Ed's words on board this morning, Jack, that politicians don't have a clue what they're talking about.
This interruption is brought to you by ExpressVPN and their New Year deal. New Year, new VPN, and a huge saving of up to 80% if you act now. You're busy planning how to get in shape, but the hackers are planning how to get into your accounts. ExpressVPN locks down your connection so you can start the year protecting your data. So scan the QR code or click the link in the description now.
Farmers, the costs that they have to pay to produce food have gone up through the roof over the last 10 years, but some of the prices that they're getting for that food is the same as it was 10 years ago. It's very simply, simple to realise that doesn't work, and that certainly isn't sustainable. Andrew Pritchard is another farmer who's here at the protest this morning. I mean, this is a bit different. This is a bit more direct action to what you've taken before. Why have you wanted to take action like this today?
We can't keep producing food at below the cost of production. The supermarket is able to sell food and make a profit. We need to be paid a proper price so that we can also make a profit. If we're making a profit, we're paying income tax. If we're making a profit, we're able to invest in our businesses and keep the business working. At the moment, our businesses are grinding to a halt.
I mean, you're a farmer in Lincolnshire. It's one of the counties which produces some of the most food for the UK, and it's crucial really to food security in this country. Do you worry for the long-term future of farming in this part of the world, given the circumstances that you're telling us you're in?
If things keep going as they are, farmers will stop farming because they can't afford to keep farming. And in this uncertain world that we find ourselves in, with all sorts of new political movements, food security, homegrown food, is the one thing we can rely on. And it's the one thing that's being neglected by government and by the supermarkets.
Now, it was the Oxford Farming Conference last week. Emma Reynolds, the Secretary of State for Food, Rural Affairs, the Environment, she was there speaking to farmers. One of the things she said was that for the government, national security is food security and vice versa. And she says that the government have listened, that changes were made just before Christmas to inheritance tax, and that surely should be put behind now and be able to move forward. Is it not true that the government have the best interest of farmers in mind?
I think this government is quite remarkable. I won't go into the reasons why, but inheritance tax is, I suppose, the last straw for the farmers. It got us all out on the streets protesting, and now, although we've had a climb down from Starmer on inheritance tax, we need a complete U-turn, because inheritance tax for farmers just should not be on the statute book. But as Starmer himself acknowledged in one of his interviews on the Parliamentary Select Committee, he acknowledged that the real problem with farming is the lack of profitability, and we know that. That's why we're here today. It needs lots of effort from government, and it needs the supermarkets to recognise that British farming is in crisis. And it's very simple what's wrong with it. We're not being paid enough money for the food that we produce. There is too much imported food coming into this country, imported food that's produced at lower cost standards than ours, and the imported food just lowers our prices. It means we have to produce food at a high standard, but get paid less than cost of production.
Andrew Pritchard, thank you so much for joining us here, of course, from the front line here at the protest today. And what I can say in terms of the lorries and the disruption it's causing, they are now backed up all the way to the main roads, because, of course, this blockade has been in place since 4 a.m. this morning.